2:09 in the morning, a terminal camera at Salt Lake City International catches a young woman stepping off a red-eye from Los Angeles. 23 years old, backpack on one shoulder. She moves like someone who has done this 100 times, because she has. 31 minutes later, another lens finds her sliding into the back of a lift. 2:40 in the morning. She is calm, she is texting, she is a girl going home. She never goes home. The driver takes her north, out of the city, to a small commuter park called Hatch Park. 3 in the morning. He watches her step out, cross toward a vehicle, and greet the person inside like she knows them. No struggle, no raised voice. She gets in of her own will. That is the last confirmed footage of Mackenzie Lueck alive. Here is the first thing that will keep you up. The park where she vanished sat under a bank of security cameras, and every one of them was a shell. Fakes, empty plastic pointed at the exact spot where she was last seen. Here is the second. Whoever met her at 3 in the morning was not a stranger she found online that night. Her own phone would prove she had known him since 2018. Someone waited for her in the dark, in the one place with no eyes. And a week would pass before anyone understood how carefully that dark had been chosen. Start with the silence, because that is how the family started. Mackenzie was not a girl who went quiet. Friends knew her as the one who returned the group texts, who checked in, who lifted the room. So when the messages stopped landing and the calls rolled to voicemail, the people who loved her did not tell themselves a comfortable story. They counted the days. 1, 2, 3, and the phone kept going straight to voicemail. Her father did what a frightened parent does at the edge of hope. He called for help.
Yeah, I'd like to get, if possible, have a wellness check done on my daughter. I've been trying to get a hold of her all week. I was just wondering if I could have somebody maybe go by her house and check on her.
You can hear the restraint in it, a man asking, almost apologizing, for someone to drive by his daughter's house and knock. A wellness check, the smallest possible ask, because the larger one is too big to say out loud yet. And yet the details he gives are already a map of dread. Listen to what he tells them next.
Last time we heard from her, she got off the plane coming back from LA. It was 1 a.m. She was going to grab an Uber and go home, but that's the last I heard from her.
So 1 a.m. this morning?
No, 1 a.m. Monday morning. So we've been trying to get a hold of her all week. Usually it's unlike her to return a call, but it goes straight to voicemails.
Off the plane, 1 in the morning, grabbing a ride home. That is the last he knows. He keeps correcting himself on the timeline. Monday morning, the small stumble of a father trying to be precise while his mind runs ahead to places he refuses to look. Usually she calls back, he says. Usually, there is a moment on that call that lands harder the more you sit with it. He is asked whether anyone has a key to her place, and he reaches back into his memory of his own daughter's life for something practical, something ordinary.
And does anyone have a key?
I don't know. The landlord may. I don't know of anybody that would be there besides the roommates that would have a key. You know what? I take that back. She said she dropped one behind the mailbox, but she could never get it out. So there may be one back there. Somebody can fish it out, but I don't know if she ever got it out or not.
A spare key she once dropped behind the mailbox and could never fish out. That is the texture of a real person, not a headline. A girl who lost her key and made do, whose father still carried that tiny fact around because it was hers. By then, the story had left the family's kitchen and entered the wider world. People who had never met Mackenzie began looking. The search fanned out across states. Volunteers, classmates, sorority sisters, strangers moved by a photograph. And one of her friends did the thing you do when you cannot reach someone but need them to know you are coming.
Everyone is out looking for you around the country, and they all want you to know that we're advocating for you, we're fighting for you, and we're going to bring you home.
Everyone is out looking for you. We are fighting for you. We are going to bring you home. She recorded it as if Mackenzie could still hear it. Maybe she needed to believe that. Even so, somewhere north of the city, the truth was already fixed, and no amount of love recorded into a phone could bend it back. Now the thread that would crack the whole case, and it comes from the most modern place imaginable. For days, Mackenzie's account sat still, dead air. The stillness itself was evidence, because this was a girl who lived online like the rest of her generation. And then, without warning, her Instagram did something. It followed a page. A single new follow, from an account that had gone silent for a week. The page was called fatherless. Detectives pulled that thread. It led them to a home in the Fair Park neighborhood, and the owner of that home became the first person police wanted to look in the eye. His name was Ayoola Ajayi, 31 years old. Everyone called him AJ. The thing is, when investigators went back through Mackenzie's phone, they found he was not a new contact at all. The two had been in touch since 2018. Whatever happened at 3 in the morning at Hatch Park, it happened between two people who already knew each other's names. Before police had a suspect, they had a driver and a park. The Lyft driver became the state's first real witness, and his account did two things at once. It narrowed the timeline to minutes, and it made the horror worse, because it proved Mackenzie walked toward her fate without fear.
I remember I was actually going to turn off my my app and go home, but right then I got another order to go pick somebody up downtown. So I just went to go pick up that person. They seemed to know each other really well, because I think all I heard was, "How are you doing? How are your trip?" Just kind of basic greetings. The situation seemed very safe. She obviously knew the person that she was getting into the car with.
He almost went home. He had reached for the app to end his night. Then a new fare pinged downtown and he kept driving. He remembers the greeting between Mackenzie and the person at the park. "How are you? How was your trip?" Basic. Warm. The situation seemed safe, he says. She obviously knew the person she was getting into the car with. That is the cruelty of it. Every instinct told her this was fine. Somebody she trusted, or thought she trusted, standing in the dark at a place he had chosen for her. And that place mattered. The investigators knew it should have been the easiest footage in the world to pull. A public park, cameras on the poles. They went looking for the frame that would show the vehicle, the plate, the moment she stepped in.
Confirmed that this was the location where she was last seen, Hatch Park here in North Salt Lake. Investigators now revealing she met someone else after getting dropped off.
Detectives have spoken with the Lyft driver and learned that Mackenzie was met at Hatch Park by an individual in a vehicle. Mackenzie did not appear to be in any type of distress.
On the 25th, we learned about a disturbing problem with the cameras at Hatch Park in North Salt Lake, which could have filmed Mackenzie getting in that car the morning of June 17th.
Hatch Park doesn't have any cameras. We have some dummy cameras.
Hatch Park does not have any cameras. They have some dummy cameras. Read that back slowly. The one location that captured her last movement had been fitted with fakes. Whether by budget or bad luck, the effect was the same as if someone had planned it. The exact spot where a woman disappeared was watched by empty plastic. So the detectives did what you do when the eyes fail. They followed the signals no one can fake. Cell data does not lie, and it does not blink. Investigators pulled the records and started matching pings to towers, building the night back one connection at a time. Mackenzie's phone had been dropped at Hatch Park, and a second phone, they found, had been in the exact same place at the exact same time, within 1 minute of hers. That second phone belonged to AJ, which is when they came to his door. The first contact was not an arrest. It was a conversation, careful and deliberate, the kind police use when they have a shape but not yet a case. They told him the truth of his own position.
You're not under arrest. You're not being detained. You can leave anytime you want to, okay?
It just doesn't make sense. I want to get to the root of it too.
Yeah.
Because when you said my IP is showing, that means something is wrong.
You are not under arrest. You are not being detained. You can leave anytime you want to. And you can hear him circling one phrase, snagging on it. His IP is showing. That means something is wrong. He wants to get to the root of it, he says, as if he is the one running the investigation. Then he offers an explanation, unprompted, and it tells you everything about the story he had built for himself.
So I have PTSD and anxiety. I just need to talk to someone whenever I'm alone and I'm freaking out.
So this is a seeking arrangement website?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I go through the whole everything. I can't see anyone that matched that profile and that matched that picture.
Okay.
But if you see, you can see most of them are in Seattle, Ogden, everywhere around the world.
Okay.
So I never even try to meet them. I just need someone to talk to whenever I'm freaking out, so to calm down. So even some of them are in Washington, D.C. And one in Logan. So all of them, all we just do is to talk. And if I met her from there, I'm positive that I probably don't want to meet her because all this is not revealed to my baby mama, and I don't want her to know about it, so I never meet any of them.
He describes anxiety, a need to talk to someone when he is alone and afraid. He describes a seeking arrangement website, profiles scattered across Seattle and Washington, and one in Logan. and insists he never tries to meet any of them. He only talks, he says, to calm down. He is careful to add that none of this is known to the mother of his child, and that he would never actually meet anyone, because the secret matters more than the person. Listen to what he is doing. He is not answering the question about Mackenzie. He is answering a different question, the one about who he is. And the answer he wants you to accept is harmless, lonely man. The detective does not take the bait, but he does not spook the prey either. He gives him a reason to keep talking.
Hey, the only reason, you can understand if this was your sister or something, or your mom, we'd be working just as hard to find her for you, okay? This family is in that same boat. We just want to do everything we can, and just because you've chatted with her, you've texted back and forth twice or however many times, and it's bouncing off your IP address, we just want to cross every avenue, make sure that people are involved, people who are staying with you, people might be parked outside your house using your Wi-Fi. We just want to make sure.
If this were your sister, your mother, we would be working just as hard for you. That is the line, not accusation. Empathy is a lever. The officer talks about crossing every avenue, ruling out other people, someone parked outside using the Wi-Fi, anyone who might have touched that IP. He hands AJ a soft exit, and AJ, believing he is smarter than the room, walks through it. They cleared the house next. Standard. And in the clearing, AJ's real preoccupation surfaced, and it was not grief for a missing woman.
House clear, just the one Airbnb guy in the whole place. You're free to leave. I'm not taking you, so you can leave whenever you want. You want to check it Friday? What? You got crazy? No, I just don't want you guys to use anything when I'm done, because I gave them my phone and they used that against me before, so I just wanted to make sure that you guys approve everything before I do it. You're free to leave when you want. Any idea where you want to go? I don't even know. I don't have my phone on my cat, so I have no destination. Okay. Again, and I don't have a time frame, right? I don't know if that
could be 10 minutes, could be a little bit longer.
Yeah, so
I would assume you'd want to be here.
Yeah, so I mean, you don't have. You're sitting right there. I have no problem with you sitting in the shade on the porch if you want to. That looks miserable.
Yeah, if you guys have my phone without my permission, and if they give it to you guys when you are here, and I can see what you guys are doing with it, that would make more sense. But they took it with them. I don't know what's going on.
And I don't either.
So I just think that's not fair.
House cleared. Just the one Airbnb guest inside, free to leave whenever he wants. But he does not want to leave. He wants his phone back. He circles it again and again. He does not want them using anything while he is gone. He has no card, no destination, no time frame, and the officer, patient, offers him the porch, the shade, a place to sit while the work goes on around him. Watch how his mind stays locked on the device in someone else's hand. Not on the girl, on the phone, because the phone was the problem. And somewhere underneath the calm, he knew it. By then, the investigators had more than a coincidence of towers. They had the beginnings of a physical trail, and it ran through his own backyard. But before they could use it, they had to get him into a room. And that is where the day turned. Watch the driveway now. The tone shifts by inches, then all at once. They come back to move him. Friendly at first, a ride to talk to detectives, a quick trip, and AJ, who has spent the whole day performing cooperation, snags on a single fear that gives him away.
What's going on, man? Detectives are ready to talk to you about everything that's going on real fast, so if you want to come, I'll give you right back to the house real quick.
But there's Fox News over there.
I know, I'm going to drive you back in my car. It's the Camry, so...
We'll stay away from the news.
Yeah, we're not going to go by the news.
But I don't want my face on the news.
I will do that so it doesn't, okay? So stand up real quick.
We're just gonna... Oh, are you arresting me or something?
No. Stand up.
Then why you're going to be detained for a little bit.
You're being detained, but just for a second, okay? I got to put you in handcuffs just while we're driving.
Per policy, we're just going to go talk to detectives for a little bit.
The camera, we will stay away from the news. He does not want his face on the news. Sit with that. A man who claims to know nothing, who has done nothing, whose only connection is a stray text bouncing off an IP address, and the thing that frightens him is being seen. The officers agree to keep him from the cameras, ask him to stand, tell him gently that he will be detained just for a moment, just for the drive, handcuffs per policy. You can hear the exact second the ground opens under him, then the interrogation. And this is where the story he built collides with the physics of a cell network. The detective does not shout. He lays the geometry on the table and asks AJ to solve it.
AJ,
I just told you that your phone records and the location put you up at the meet. You think honestly and expect me to believe that you ended that conversation and somehow you and her location end up in the exact same spot?
Oh, I'm not doubting you. If I see that too, if I'm in your case, I would be asking myself, what are you asking me right now?
It's not a miraculous question.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
Stuff doesn't just happen.
No.
Yes, I agree with you.
I'm telling you to explain that. And so far, you have not.
Well, how do I explain something I don't know?
Are you saying you don't know or you don't remember? Because those are two different things, AJ.
Your phone records and the location put you up at the meet. Do you expect me to believe you ended that conversation and somehow you and her location end up in the exact same spot? The detective even offers him the out of imagining himself in the chair. If I were in your case, I would be asking myself the same question. Stuff does not just happen. And AJ agrees. He keeps agreeing. Yes, I agree with you. But agreement is not an answer. And the detective closes the last door with a question that has no innocent version. Are you saying you do not know or you do not remember? Because those are two different things. Silence is its own confession. All the while, another team is reading a different kind of record, and this one was written in ash. Go back a week, to the nights after Mackenzie vanished. A neighbor named Teresa woke to something wrong in the air.
The smell of gas was outrageous. And I thought maybe I was in my bedroom and I smelled it through my window and I thought maybe it was my motorhome. And so I came outside to make sure, and there's this smell in the air that was just almost rancid. It was just really disgusting smelling.
The smell of gas was outrageous. She thought at first it was her own motorhome. She went outside to check, and the air held something rancid, something that turned her stomach, a smell she did not have words for and would not forget. Neighbors would place a large fire in that yard on the nights of the 17th and 18th of June, and the receipts placed a gas can in AJ's hands 6 hours after he picked Mackenzie up. 6 hours. That is the interval between meeting a living person at a park and buying the means to make her disappear. In the backyard, investigators found a makeshift pit. In the pit, the remains of belongings that were hers, and human remains among the char. Restraint is the only honest way to carry this detail, so hold it lightly and let it weigh what it weighs. A young woman had been reduced to evidence in a fire pit behind a rented house on a quiet residential street. But not all of her was there. And the phone that had convicted him at Hatch Park now told the investigators where the rest of the story ended. His location data showed a trip he took roughly a week after she vanished. North, into Logan Canyon. He stayed 2 hours and came back. Detectives followed the same path the signal drew, up into the trees, and in those woods they found Mackenzie. He had carried part of what he did nearly 40 miles from his home and left her among the pines, and his own phone had drawn the map straight to her. There is one more scene from those days that shows you the man under pressure, before the cuffs, when he still thought he could talk his way out through sheer force of will.
Steve, you're being a little bit unreasonable, dude. Oh man, you're a man, I'm a grown man.
If you want to arrest me, I will come down. And you can arrest me. I will be there. I can see your car. I will come down.
Okay, calm down.
No, yeah, that's later. But you need to arrest me.
Wait, come down, please.
Oh, please tell me that you want to arrest me now.
I'm not arresting you. No, we're not. No, we're not. So just come down.
If you're not going to arrest me, then I don't want to talk to you.
If I'm not trying to arrest you, then you don't want to talk to me?
Yes.
What if I was trying to arrest you? Do you want to come down and talk to me?
Sure.
Okay, I'm trying to arrest you. Come down and talk to me.
Do you have the arrest warrant with you?
Yep.
A negotiator on one end, AJ on the other, and a conversation that loops like a snake eating itself. Come down and talk to me. Only if you tell me you want to arrest me. I am not arresting you. Then I do not want to talk to you. Round and round, a grown man bargaining over the word arrest, as though the word were the thing that could hurt him and not the fire pit in his yard. It would almost be absurd if you did not know what was buried behind the house. By the time they had him, the coincidence had become a case, and the case had become a certainty. The phone at the park, the gas can 6 hours later, the fire the neighbors smelled, the remains in the pit, the drive into Logan Canyon, each fact alone a thread, together a rope. Arrest cracked the case open, and what spilled out was worse than a single night. Because once his name was public, people who had felt the cold coming off this man started to speak, and their stories told you the truth investigators had only glimpsed. Mackenzie was not the beginning of something. She was the point where a long, quiet slide finally broke the surface. Start with the woman who saw it a full season early and trusted her body when her mind wanted to be polite. Evie Keener runs a modeling and talent agency in Salt Lake City. She met AJ the previous summer at a networking event. Agents and young models in a bright room, everyone smiling. He approached her about signing with her agency. On the surface, he was smart, well-spoken, good-looking, and something in her would not settle.
She's shedding tears as she recalls her disturbing meeting with the monster accused of murdering 23-year-old Mackenzie Lueck. Evie Keener owns a modeling and talent agency in Salt Lake City that represents dozens of beautiful young women. Evie says she met the accused killer here in Salt Lake City, Utah, at a networking event for models and their agents last summer. She says the suspect approached her about signing with her modeling agency, but she says there was something about him that creeped her out.
On the surface, he seemed perfect. He seemed very smart, very good looking.
But after attending several networking parties, 31-year-old Ayuli Ajayi began reaching out to Evie on social media. She instinctively sensed danger.
He wanted to sign on with my agency, and I did not feel comfortable having him in the same room with my young models. So I just listened to my gut, and I didn't have anything further to do with him.
Evie says she is haunted by her close encounter now that police say they have found the charred remains of 23-year-old Mackenzie in the accused killer's backyard.
It's horrifying. I'm so sorry to think about what happened to this poor girl.
She is in tears as she remembers him. He kept reaching out on social media after those parties. He wanted to sign with her agency, wanted access to the young women she represented, and she says she did not feel comfortable having him in the same room with them. So she listened to her gut and cut it off. Nothing further. And now, knowing what police found behind his house, she is haunted by how close her instinct kept her people to the edge of something she could not yet name. She got out. Not everyone did. Before Mackenzie, before the modeling agent, there was a wife. Tanisha married him and then ran from him. And the reason she ran is a scene that should have been a warning to a system that never heard it.
I was trying to get out the window. We was at his friend's house, and he closed the window down, and I jumped through the window, and he had a butcher knife, was trying to stab me with the knife. I was trying to grab the knife out of his hand because he was trying to stab me in my hand, but I had to, try to grab the knife out of his hand, and it cut me. I had all these cuts.
She describes a window. He closed it on her, and she went through it anyway, jumping to get away. She describes a butcher knife in his hand, and her own hands grabbing for the blade to keep it out of her body, and the cuts that opened across her palms as she pulled. That is the man, not the anxious, lonely profile scroller from the interview. A man who came at his wife with a knife and left her scarred to prove it. There were 2 prior sexual assault allegations against him as well. Neither had led to charges. Twice the machinery that is supposed to catch a man like this looked at him and let him walk. And each time it let him walk, he learned the same lesson. That the dark was safe, that the rules bent. And then the contractor. This is the detail that turns the whole case from crime into design, because it proves the room came before the victim. Brian Wolf builds things for a living. Months before Mackenzie's name was ever in the news, AJ hired him to come look at the basement of the Fair Park house.
This is the back door leading down to the basement, where a contractor says the suspect asked him to build a soundproof room, complete with a secret door, hooks on the concrete wall, and also a fingerprint lock.
I've never, ever had anybody ask me anything like this. 100% that man that they arrested is the man I met. Guaranteed. I'm shaking right now. My heart's pounding. I'm almost about to cry. It's scary. I feel sorry for that girl. We just said to put his name down as AJ. Just said that his girlfriend was coming into town and needed to get it done before she got there because she was a Mormon girl. She didn't know he drank, so he wanted to hide her alcohol from her. And I was like, well, why do you need it to be soundproof? I told a lot of people that I thought something weird was going on over there, and it turns out there obviously was. He was adamant about getting it done really fast, and money was no object, and he needed to get it done before his girlfriend came in. I could totally do it, but I never would have done it. There's no way.
Wolf describes what he was asked to build. A soundproof room in the basement, a secret door, hooks bolted into the concrete wall, a fingerprint lock on the entrance, and a cover story handed to him on the spot that a girlfriend was coming to town, a Mormon girl who did not know he drank, and he needed somewhere to hide the alcohol before she arrived. Wolf asked the obvious question, why does hiding liquor need a soundproof room? He got no answer that made sense. Money was no object, AJ told him, and the speed was everything. It had to be done before she came. Wolf walked. He and his nephew got to the truck and looked at each other and said out loud what both of them felt. That was wrong. We are not doing this. And months later, watching the news, he saw the same house on the screen, then the same face in a mug shot, and understood exactly what the room had been for. Sit with the timeline, because it is the coldest fact in the record. He tried to build the room before he had a victim. The soundproofing, the hooks, the biometric lock, the secret door, all of it commissioned in advance, waiting for a person to put inside it. When the contractor refused, the plan did not stop. It only changed shape. A retired agent who looked at the case said the crime scene was handled so poorly the man was clearly not experienced, that AJ was on his way to becoming a serial killer and simply had not learned to hide it yet. The hidden cameras in the home said the same thing in another language. Surveillance throughout the house, in violation of the platform he rented it on. 3 of them in the bedroom alone. This was a man building an apparatus. Mackenzie walked into the middle of it, and when he was finally asked why, the answer contained no mystery, no tortured motive, nothing to soften it. He admitted he killed because he wanted to know what it felt like. That is where sympathy ends, if it ever began. Not a man broken by circumstance, a man who took a curiosity and paid for it with someone else's life. The law moved next, and it moved with weight. After what officials called an exhaustive week of investigation, the first charges came down. Aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, obstruction of justice, desecration of a human body. Then the past caught up and added to them. Kidnapping and sexual assault tied to 2 other women he had attacked before. And after investigators searched his computer, 19 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor, because the machine that recorded his house had recorded other things too. In the end, he pleaded guilty. 1st-degree aggravated murder, 3rd-degree desecration of a human body, and in October of 2020, a judge handed down the sentence that fit the shape of him. Life in prison without the possibility of parole. No release, no horizon. The dark he had used against so many women closed permanently around him. There is a smaller, stranger coda that says something about how little the crime touched him. After his arrest, while awaiting trial, he put the house up for sale.
And accused of killing University of Utah student Mackenzie Lueck last year is now selling his home. This house has gone up for sale, and after what happened last summer, they'll always look at this house differently.
Every time I come by, you can't help but remember what happened there.
And even though the neighborhood has quieted down in the 8 months since this house became a crime scene for murder, for neighbors, this home will always be different.
There's a black mark in your mind when you look at the house that kind of just reminds you that something horrible happened. I was really surprised that it was for sale because I was under the understanding that they wanted to keep it rented to make funds to help pay the defense.
The listing online shows Ajayi wants $349,000 for the 1,800 square foot house. Investment opportunity, the description says. Cutest house on the block. The listing realtor declined to comment. For neighbors, this home will always be different, but Scott hopes the next owner will help change that.
Some new life, some positive energy and positive activity going on there. That would make, a change.
I did talk with the man who is currently renting the home. He said that he rented it from someone who's managing the property for Ayoola Ajayi. He did say that they disclosed to him what had happened there before he rented the home.
What happened was awful. I mean, it's a terrible case. I chose to not look at police reports, even though they said I could look at them if I wanted to.
But it was hard to miss today's news.
Mr. Ajayi burned Ms. Lueck's body, her clothing, and her belongings in an attempt to dispose of evidence of her murder.
Why, Kenzie? What did she do to deserve this? Why burn half of her body? I think we're all still in extreme shock. Even right now, I feel like I can call her and text her and she'll answer. I mean, we didn't get to say goodbye to our friend. This person stole our friend from us. So I don't know if we'll ever have closures.
Neighbors describe living beside a crime scene, the black mark that stays in the mind, the way you cannot pass the house without remembering. The listing asked $349,000 for the 1,800 square foot home and called it the cutest house on the block. The man renting it afterward had been told what happened there and stayed anyway. And in the same stretch of that report, the plainest summary of the crime is spoken aloud, that AJ burned Mackenzie's body and her clothing and her belongings to try to dispose of what he had done. Why, one voice asks, why burn half of her? Why, Kenzie? What did she ever do to deserve this? No one has an answer. There is not one that fits. So let the last word belong to the people who loved her, and not to him. Her friends refused to let strangers write her story. When rumors circulated, they pushed back in public and asked a simple thing: that no one judge Mackenzie based on gossip from people who never knew her. The people who did know her described the same woman over and over. The kindest, sweetest person, someone who could lift a whole room, someone who made them laugh on the days they needed it most. That is the girl in the airport footage. That is who got into the car at 3 a.m. believing she was safe. Her sorority sisters turned their grief into something that would outlast it. They founded a nonprofit called Mackenzie's Voice, built to support other missing persons cases and to stand beside the families who suddenly find themselves living the week the Luecks lived, the week of unanswered calls and voicemails that never fill. Her name now goes out ahead of other searches. That is a kind of resurrection the law cannot grant. The family thanked the Salt Lake City police for the work that brought her home, and there is grace in that, because home was not what any of them meant when the search began. Still, they were able to grieve a person instead of a question. Not everyone gets even that. And you, watching the last footage of a young woman who did everything an ordinary night, asks of her, take the one lesson the record actually teaches. The danger was not a stranger in an alley. It was someone she believed she knew, in a place chosen because no one was watching. The dummy cameras, the soundproof room ordered in advance, the trust turned into a weapon. Evil like this does not announce itself. It smiles at networking parties and asks to sign with your agency and offers a good story about hiding the liquor. The people who survived him survived because they listened to the part of them that said no when everything on the surface said yes. One of her friends said, the thing that stays. Even now it feels like she could call, like she would text back and answer, like the goodbye is still coming. This person stole our friend from us, and I do not know if we will ever have closure. There is no closure at the bottom of a case like this. There is only the record, the sentence, the nonprofit carrying her name, and a woman named Mackenzie Lueck, who deserved every year she never got.